Oh, come on. Got it. Okay.
Go
Let's
ahead
see.
and turn your sound off.
Okay.
And hello, thank you so much for joining us today on the topic of community respite, a topic um, and a program that's so needed all over the country for families who have children with disabilities. And respite is the number one thing people need and very hard to get, especially after a pandemic. We have so many people uh, who do not have providers to even provide that kind of respite, nor maybe they don't have the waiver as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen really quickly, and then I'll introduce you to our speaker. Can you see that?
It's on.
Thank you so much. So as the first slide you'll see is several logos. I am Deb Peterman. I'm a sibling. I've been connected to the disability community for 60 years. Started the day my brother was diagnosed with severe developmental disabilities, autism. He was nonverbal and had some behavior issues, especially as he got older. But, you know, even though my brother never said a word in his life, I always say his life still speaks volumes. So I work for the Center for Disability Empowerment. We are one of 12 Ohio Centers for Independent Living. And we are working with the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities on a grant called Ohio Family Network. The goal of the grant is to help families get connected to other families, to people in their neighborhoods, in their communities, and for inclusion in the community. Our goal is to always break down barriers that prevent people from actively being part of the community. So on the upper right, you'll see a large colorful wheel, and that is the logo for charting the LIfeCourse. And I'll just talk briefly about charting the LIfeCourse. It's a tool that anybody at any age and person, ability or not, can benefit from this type of tool that is free, and it does help with planning life, setting goals, finding connections in the community. They're very simple tools and something that I've learned to admire. Tonight, we're going to be talking with Christina Teevan, who is the Executive Director for Ashland Special Needs Ministry. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead with my next slide, hopefully, and tell you what we do at the Center for Disability Empowerment. The Center for Disability Empowerment is a 501c3 non-residential center for independent living that is driven by choice and direction of people with disabilities. Our mission at CDE is to provide support and resources for people with disabilities in order for them to be participants and contributors in their communities that they live, learn, worship, work, and play alongside people who do not have disabilities. So this is Christina Teevan, and we'll introduce her in a second. And the next slide is the Chart of the LIfeCourse tool. The Chart of the LIfeCourse started by families and individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And what they were trying to find is, you know, they wanted the person-centered direction, but they felt like we need more than just focusing on just that person and how to help that person get the services, the goals in their life, all those things that are important to help a person have a good life. So of course it's person-centered, as we see a little person there. And we know that a person may have their immediate family or maybe a family of choice where they live in together. And when the Chart of the LIfeCourse is trying to connect with all the outcomes that are important to people in their daily life, employment, social and spirituality, safety and security, community living, healthy living, advocacy, and engagement. These are all important for everyone. It also says that there are 3 buckets of support, and one being discovery and navigation. The other is connecting and networking, and goods and services. Tonight's program is based on goods and services so that people can think about how they may either begin an outreach or a community respite, or even participate with one and find one. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen because this doesn't want to go anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and let Christina Teevan pull up my share here. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get us going. And I just need to know if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay, good. Oh, well, I'm going to talk to you about how you can build a respite in your community and how you can reach your community. And I'm feeling like maybe most of you are parents. Is that true? Okay, so this is going to be something that I hope encourages you tonight, and maybe you can find one close to you. I used to live in the Columbus area, so if you're from there, I know there are some there and in other areas as well. So we in Ashland County started a program called Ashland Special Needs Ministry. And I'm just going to let you know a little bit about myself before we get started. So why would I want to help people with special needs? Well, as a child, when I was growing up, my mom said I was always drawn to anybody who needed extra help or just needed a little hand. Well, I'll tell you what, that grew into a love of people with disabilities and how to help them navigate life in a different way. And to remove some of the boundaries that they find as they navigate life. So in this picture, you're going to see a very special man. His name is Richard Burke. And we were guardians for him for 20 years. He has Down syndrome or had Down syndrome, and he lived until he was 69. And you can see he lived kind of an exciting life. We took him to Disney and he got to see lots of people that he really wanted to see a lot. So Mickey Mouse was his favorite. Right here, down here at the bottom is my youngest daughter, and she had just a special relationship with him. And she serves in our program too, so I'm going to tell you about that. So what did we think we were going to do when we came into contact with people that needed respite? Well, it's either a parent or a relative of a child with special needs. And that goes from infancy all the way through adulthood. And then somebody here might want to start a respite program in their area. You might actively be serving in a ministry of some kind to reach those with special needs. And our desire was to see people know and love Jesus through what we do. Now, some of you may be in different churches or in different religions, and that's okay. I just wanted to share with you that this is a ministry that's based on Jesus. So I'm just going to share that. So some of the things that we heard when we were talking to some of our volunteers, or even to other people who are asking me about respite, they would say, well, what if a child makes too much noise? What if they bite? What if they rock? What if we're not trained to handle a child? Or what if they won't stop hitting or they run away? Well, guess what? There are 2 people here who aren't afraid of those things in any way, shape, or form. And so what we decided to do was we thought if we can start a respite program that impacts our parents and makes it easier for them to handle daily life, or even know that it's coming so they know that they have a break coming, that would be something that we could work on with them. So Ashland Special Needs Ministry wants families to be able to go to church, and Deb mentioned that worship is a huge part for a lot of families. Or if that's not possible, just so that they could have a night out where they could feel like they're with trained individuals who love their kids and desire to have a great night with their kiddos. So what is Ashland Special Needs Ministry? Well, number 1, we started with respite. So we're going to tell you about our respite program tonight, and we're going to let you see what it looks like in our community. It is, if you look it up, the only community-based respite program that we have found in the United States, meaning that our whole community comes together. We are a nonprofit. And so lots of times you'll see respite programs in churches that they want to offer to you, or some other different ways that they might throw something once every quarter, but we do it every 2 weeks from September through April. And from that, we found out that we had some families who wanted to come to church and be a part of a special needs ministry. So we started our Pure Joy ministry, which you might want to know about that name. First of all, we decided that most of our friends who come with special needs, we've never known a greater joy than knowing them and what their faces show when we work together. And then the other thing that we do through our program is we train. We train people across the board to work with those with special needs, to love them, to care for them, and to make it accessible for them to be in different locations. A part of that means too that we go to IEP meetings and advocate for families, and we're both teachers. I was for 10 years, and Caitlin just graduated a couple years ago and taught in special ed. And we know the laws, and we know ways to kind of help our families and our friends get what they need in the school setting. Okay, so where did we start? Guess what? We met with local churches and said, hey, we want to reach out and get these families. And we included a parent of a child with special needs, and some of our local agencies came to be a part of that meeting as well. So we could make sure that our community was on board to know that we were going to start this community-based respite program to reach the families who desperately need a break. So you'll laugh at this slide. My assistant was telling me it was kind of funny because it turned to orange, but do we have a need in our communities? I say we have to chuckle here, because every time I talk to a parent, if I ask them what they need most, they'll say to me, rest, a nap. I just want to do the laundry by myself. I want to go to the grocery store by myself. Does anybody feel like that? Yeah, thanks for shaking your head. Yes. So we found out in our community that we had 400 families who were not, or 400 families with members who were not able to attend church by themselves or even go because there wasn't a trained staff there or volunteers who were willing to do that. So we thought that it would be a great place to have a respite in church on a community basis to help them meet that need. We wanted to be the churches in the ministry that said yes, because sometimes you guys go places and people say no, right? They'll say, we can't handle your kiddos. We don't know how to help them. Maybe there's another location for them, or a lot of times, many of our families have been asked to leave places because their child's too loud or their child's having behaviors. And so we wanted to open up a place where those kids can be themselves and know that they are loved and cared for, and that the parents felt like it was a safe place. So we found here's what's interesting though. How would we find the people who would serve in this? How will we staff it? How do we train them? And what churches can hold the numbers of people that we expected to come? So we met with some people in the community, and we found lots of things. But you know what we found too is a pretty big giant, because lots of our sometimes just getting enough volunteers, or sometimes just getting the community to understand that this was a desperate need, was a huge thing to overcome. So some of our church people said, what if they all come? What are you going to do if everybody comes? And we're like, we're going to smile and welcome them in and hug them, and we're going to do the best we can. And we had to change some attitudes. And what if they come to church on Sunday mornings? Well, good. That's what we want. Okay. So if you have doubts about this maybe happening in your community, you haven't been paying attention. That's what that says. Because guess what? Sometimes thinking about starting a respite program is a big task. Okay, we have 2 churches in our community that are large, that are handicapped accessible, and they were both willing to welcome our respite program, which was huge. So we know that they have ramps. We know we have elevators. We know we have all the things that we need to make it accessible for our friends. Why these locations? Look, they had all these things that we were looking for. And if you want to, you can always contact me. I have a list that will give you whether a place is accessible or not for all of your family members. This is the other thing. We wanted to use a building that is sometimes used just for Wednesdays and Sundays to meet the needs of those with disabilities, which I think is huge, right? We want to make sure everybody is welcome. So here we go. Before our respite starts, this is what we do. I'm going to tell you about how our respite nights work. We have volunteers. This young lady sitting next to me is the Assistant Director of Ashland Special Needs Ministry. Her name is Caitlin Hanshaw. And she grew up in our program, helping and serving. And so she's come back to work with us. So about a week and a half before our respite starts, we start texting all of our volunteers. And I'm going to tell you where we get those volunteers from in just a minute. And we have to assign our buddies. So we do a respite program that welcomes the person with special needs as well as their siblings. So the family actually gets a true night out. We pray that we'll honor God in all ways. And then even if we're having a tough night and we don't understand the behaviors, we know that we're sharing the love of Jesus to all those people that are being a part of it and giving the parents a break. Okay, Caitlin, go.
Okay, so we have a respite, like she said, twice a month, and they happen at those locations. And so we ask our volunteers to come a little bit early just so we can review some of our, I don't want to call them rules, but expectations for the night to keep everyone safe. And then we give them their assignment, their buddy that they're going to be with for the night. And then we have to set everything up. So we have a ton of toys and different, I don't know.
Well, activities.
Activities,
Each
that's the word.
child has likes and dislikes, and we have asked for those, and we have so much stuff.
Yeah. So a team of people usually come a couple hours early and help set all of that up, which takes a bit of time. And then we start having families arrive at 4:30. So parents drop their kids off and leave for some free time for both the family, and then the kids are just free to hang out with their buddies, whether they want to play a board game, do a craft, just hang out and run around and have fun. And then we also provide dinner for them. So we have a very sweet lady who cooks all of our meals for us, and then we're able to serve those for dinner around 5:15, 5:30. And then another thing we do is we share the gospel. So we'll usually have someone who will just be talking about Jesus and doing different crafts about Jesus, and different activities just surrounding a Bible story so that we can provide the gospel to our kiddos as well. And then, so usually it's not quite a time, but they can come and go as they want. And then they just have free time, play with their buddy, really just doing whatever they want. Like Christina said, we try to have any activity that they enjoy so that they feel like it's a safe place and are able to just be themselves and have fun. And then around 7:30, the parents start arriving to pick up their kiddos, and then we clean up and we do it again in 2 weeks.
So you may be wondering, where do we get our volunteers from? So that's something that we really worked on quite a bit. So we are fortunate to have Ashland University here in town, and you're probably gonna laugh about this, but I actually got a job there because I wanted to get into the education department to make sure that I could get some volunteers who A, were background checked, B, going into special education, who really wanted to work in the community with our kiddos and love them and get the experience of not necessarily a school environment, but the community environment of loving the family, of reaching out to them in a different way, and just volunteering for fun. Like just being able to love them and doing what they want to do. You know, at school, it's follow the IEP, do all this stuff. And our kids actually come, and we have very, very few behaviors because all of their preferred activities are there. And they get a one-on-one buddy. Every single child or friend who comes gets a one-on-one buddy. So they have direct personal attention all night long. So we use local colleges. National Honor Society kids have hours they have to meet to finish their program. And so we tap into all the local high schools and their National Honor Societies. And then what we love about that is once they come, they usually fall in love, and a lot of them come back for more. We go to local clubs and we talk to the adults and say, is there a way that you can help? So sometimes we have grandmas who want to bake cookies for the night, or we have people who only want to come and work in the kitchen. And we're like, that's great. We need kitchen people too. Or like last year we had a little baby come and everybody was fighting over who got to hold the 6-week-old baby. So if we have some older grandmas in the group, that's what they ask for. We talk to all of the local churches and we say, hey, we need your help. We need your volunteers. We need your, assistance with this. We go to homeschool co-ops and we go to youth groups. And, people, once they get involved, they fall in love with what we do. So we really, we have volunteers that have been since the beginning, have been with us for 7 years. And in fact, we were laughing today because some of them were texting saying, may I please have this kid? I haven't had him yet. Or can I please have this little girl? I just want to work with her. So the things that we always say when we talk to our volunteers, you're probably wondering then, what do we do with our volunteers? We train them all. They go through a training with us. We use some CPI techniques with that to get them so they know that if there is a behavior, this is what you're going to do. But I'm a CPI trainer, and so that allows us, Crisis Prevention Institute trainer, so that allows us to keep our kiddos and adults safe. We want to love them. So here's the thing. Often, most times when they come, they are so excited to be there, or we have the opposite where they're a little nervous. So we lovingly guide them and direct them to the activities that we have. And if you'd like to know what kind of activities we do, we always have a craft table. We have a Lego table. We have basketball. We have soccer. We have a video gaming station. We have a TV with Disney Plus. We have
A golf
we
cart.
just bought a golf cart today so we can take kids on golf cart rides. And we really work on, like, in every corner of every area that we have in the churches, we have building blocks or trains or dinosaurs or balloons, because we have kids who just love to pop balloons up in the air, and, not pop them. I meant hit them. And then we have a climber too. So we have an indoor climber that allows them, even if it's not nice enough outside, and we have the playground. So we have all of these activities. And in the fall, we paint pumpkins. And at Christmas, we make Christmas cookies. And we plan all these activities that kids can do. And I'll tell you that our teenagers and adults, their parents tell us that this is their socialization. They don't get to go places and socialize. So they get to come and have a night with their friends, and we do fun activities, and we play Uno, and anything that you want, we have.
Infant through adult.
Yes, infant through adults. We keep them safe. So we love them. We keep them safe. And because we are a ministry, then we're going to give them Jesus and tell them about Jesus's love for them. The next thing. So you can be a bridge in your community. This is it sounds like a daunting task, but you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. 7.5 years ago, when I started this program, we got everything ready. We had food, we had activities, we had crafts. And the first night, no one came. Right. And I was like, wow, this is so sad. And then all of a sudden the word got around, and people knew that they could trust us, and that we were training our volunteers, and they're all background checked, and they're all, they're there because they want to be there. They love our friends who are impacted by special needs. So now we have about 130. And so our respite program is huge, but we wanted to make sure that the doors are open at churches, because that's a great place to hold them. Invite them to your church and make your church accessible. And then we wanted to make sure everybody knew that we were doing this because we love Jesus. So that is what we do. That's Ashland Special Needs in a nutshell, and our respite program. But to give you another idea of some of the things that we do to provide respite, we also go into their homes and we will help clean. We will go into the homes and do laundry. We will take your kiddos on an afternoon. So maybe you just need a nap. And this is apart from our respite program. So we provide our respite program, but then Caitlin and I both work during the week to meet the needs of our families. And so we feel like this is something that every community should have, or one close by to you, so that you could get a break, get a time out, go get a coffee and sit there and stare at the wall, whatever you want to do. We would support that. And if you want to move to Ashland, we'll take your kiddos. We love them all. And so now I just wanted to give you a chance that if you wanted to ask any questions of us, that you can.
Well, I had some questions.
Okay.
I know some community respites are set up like a VBS. So there's stations and there's rotations. And I know that these siblings can go anywhere they want and spend their time anywhere. Or if a person with disabilities wants to stay in one location, they stay in one location. Is that kind of how yours is set up?
No. So ours is really, it's interesting because like we have kids who only want to be at the Lego table because that's their preferred activity. So we don't limit that or change that. It's a free. So my opinion about this is if the parents are going to get a break, sometimes the kids need a break too. You all do. Like, yeah. They need to be able to not be told, like, I know a lot of our kids with autism, we're constantly giving them demands of do this, do this, do this, do this, or even our other kids with special needs. So when they come, I always tell our volunteers, they're in charge. Unless it's a behavior issue, they need to be able to go to what they want to do. This is their break too. So, and what we have found is, our siblings, I always try to remind our siblings of this. You're not in charge tonight, because a lot of them feel like they have to take care of their sibling. So I always try to make sure they understand you're not in charge tonight. You're free. Go. I don't even want to see you close to your siblings. Just go, and they all, because they have all kind of come together and know each other, they all love each other. We have certain kids who are nonverbal that only come and interact with certain other kids who are nonverbal, and they throw the ball back and forth. And so we don't limit anything. They are allowed to ask to do whatever they would like within the confines of the respite. But there's literally so much going on and so many centers to go to. And at Ashland Grace, we do have a sensory room there that we have built. So that we do limit. So we have a room that is only specific to, and we give badges to the kids who can go.
Yeah.
So that their buddies know too, because we have typical sibs who would go in there and get in the ball pit and, love to be in the ball pit too. But really, we want our kiddos who have those sensory needs to be able to be a part of that. Okay, so our volunteers, I see a question here. Our volunteers, we contact them every 2 weeks, and they do not rotate. Some of them do. They'll tell us if they can't come. And so and our volunteers, they actually contact us and say, hey, I want to be at Respite. But no, we don't rotate our volunteers. They'll let us know if they can't come. We give them the schedule at the beginning of the year. And some of them start telling us at the beginning, these are the weeks I can't be there, but I'll be at the rest.
So what is the process of a family registering?
Sure.
Okay.
So we have families call every week. And, or you'll laugh, but I have a problem when I walk in through a store. I stop and, meeting family. I did it the other day at Walmart, and I stopped to this mom, and she happened to be a single mom. And I said, this is what we do. And she goes, that would be so great to have a break. So, we get their phone number or email address. We send them the forms. And then usually we do an interview over the phone, and we talk about what behaviors does your child have, what eating needs, what do they have any allergies, is there any need for medication while we're together, because we don't do that. But if they're medically fragile, we want to try to get a nurse involved that can be with them and help them, or get the correct training to make it a night that's accessible for them. Other than that, if we're worried that the behavior might be too much, because sometimes the parents will say, this is real, like our kid's really tough. So we'll say, hey, can we meet at a park and get to know them first? And then we know exactly which buddy to put them with too, which volunteer, and that helps. But we have to take reservations, and I'll tell why. We have to make sure we have enough volunteers to cover our kids. Like tonight, Caitlin was making the list for Saturday's respite, and we were going through and already budding people up and saying, we might need to contact a few people and ask them if they can come and be an extra. And so it's a long process.
So you mentioned if a child is medically fragile, a respite that I had gone to, they always had a nurse at each event.
So we don't always have a nurse at each event. We check with our families, and if they feel like the child can be there without a nurse, then most of the time it's a feeding tube. Sometimes it's as simple as this child has seizures, and what are we going to do if the child has seizures? The other thing is, one of our young ladies that's coming now is very medically fragile and has some machines that come with her that have to be plugged in. And so we're working on that. And her mom literally is so thankful for the break. She said to Caitlin last time, is she still alive? That's all that matters. She got a break. And so, because she's her caretaker now, because they can't find nursing and they can't find their respite providers. So
yeah, these are definitely hard times for sure.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I said this before, but our program is totally free. So there is no charge. And with our meals that we make, we try to make them as healthy as possible. So we have fruits and vegetables at each one, and any food that we have left over, which we always overcook for a purpose, we give it away at the end, because some of our families are in need of that. And that can be a real encouragement and a respite in another way, because then they don't have to cook the next day, or they don't have to think about it. And we try to make the food that the kids love, truly love. Like this weekend is spaghetti and meatballs, and they've requested it already. It's homemade meatballs and spaghetti, and they just wait for it. And some of the parents do too, because they know there'll be leftovers.
I'm sure you have people call, say, I want to see a respite in action.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably invite them to come, but do you pair them up as a buddy, or do you just have them come observe?
It just depends. So, like we know some people that come from Johnny and Friends, a group that we all work with. And when they contact me and they ask me to come, and I know they've been at Johnny and Friends, I know they've been background checked, I know they have, I ask them some questions, and then we invite them. If they want to be a buddy, we will let them. If we don't know the people who want to come and visit, then usually I give somebody to them, a volunteer that's going to, or myself, that will take them on a tour of the night and then let them go. We're not going to let them be a part of the program until we know all of their details and background check and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. But parents, when they come the first night, often want to stay for a little bit to see what actually happens and walk around. And usually it's a very short tour, because they come in and they see how happy all the kids and adults are. And they just are like, this looks like such a happy place. And so then they feel like they can go. And we try to put them at ease, because we want them to have 3 hours of a break. That's just, and another thing that we can tell you is we don't, if there are some really heavy bad behaviors, we don't report that, because I'm pretty sure the parents already know.
Yeah.
And so we just want to let them have a break. Like, hey, it's your break. You don't need to know this.
Right.
Exactly. Unless it's a safety issue.
Yeah. I'm sure you probably have had a person that maybe needed 2 buddies.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Or there's some 3.
Yeah.
Depending on what their need is for the night. And I'm sure those families probably are overwhelmed and cannot even fathom someone wanting to give 3 people to help their child have a safe evening. You see that a lot with Johnny and Friends family retreats. I know you touched on that. Do you want to talk about a little bit about Johnny and Friends?
Sure. So a part of our ministry as well is the families that come to our respite program. We want to, we can't go through the summer months because our colleges go away, our college kids go away, our kiddos that are in high school get jobs. So to try to keep everybody going with the respite program in the summer months, we offer a scholarship to our families to go to Johnny and Friends Family Retreat, which is a kind of a supported vacation. Like you get to go to a resort and you get to stay for a week and have buddies with your kids and programming for your kids. And then the adults get programming, the moms get pampered, the dads get to go on a dad's outing. And it's just a beautiful week of celebrating kiddos and adults who have special needs, where they feel comfortable. Nobody's staring, nobody's, if your child falls down in the middle of the food aisle and throws a fit, or temper tantrum or whatever, or has a sensory meltdown, nobody bats an eye at that. They just are welcome and loved. And so they get to have a vacation. And oftentimes the siblings then get to kind of just have such a great week where they get time off and they get a break away from everything. It's kind of a respite on steroids.
Well, it definitely is a little taste of heaven. And I can say at Family Retreat, the hardest night of the week is.
We lost her. Deborah, can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Can you?
Oh, yeah. So I think we lost. There you go. You came back.
Back from the dead.
Yeah.
But Family Retreat for the Thursday night, talent night. I remember the first one I came just to observe before I came on staff with Johnny and Friends Ohio. And I cried the whole time.
Yeah.
Because it was so honoring and fun, and you could see how relaxed the families are, how loved everyone loved each other. It's just a wonderful taste of heaven. I think my big takeaway is I wish that my family had something like that in the early days. I can't, my father never met another dad that he connected with. And, you know, you see fathers, you know, maybe are reluctant. And then by the end of the week, they have great male buds. And it's just a wonderful thing. And it's also the best training ground
Yeah.
for a respite or disability ministry. It's probably the best training. So I wanted to ask Caitlin to talk about herself a little bit and your connection with Johnny and Friends and how long you've been doing this alongside Christina.
Yeah, so I honestly can't remember why I showed up, but when she first started it, I don't know, 7 years ago, she had like a welcoming picnic for all the families, just to, I don't know, meet families in the area with disabilities. And I showed up and I fell in love with some of the kids, and I just continued serving. We all went to Johnny and Friends together, and I just continued going. So yeah, and then that's how I kind of decided that this was something I kind of wanted to do forever. So I went to school for special education, got my degree, taught for a year and a half, and then she convinced me to come back and work with her. So I don't know, is that, what
Yeah.
else do you want to know?
Well, it's true. You see that at family retreat, you have youth groups that come and serve together, and then eventually they kind of grow up in the family retreat, taking on more responsibilities each time they would come back. And as a family member, when I meet someone who has not been directly impacted by disability, it's a huge blessing to see them say yes. See the people that that I love and that you obviously love. I do have a question from Deborah. She wanted to know how did you start and where was your first step working from home, and then she wanted to know how is your program funded.
Sure. Okay. So how we started was, it's kind of a funny story, but there was a group of people who got together and they wanted to help people with disabilities. And so they started a board and they hired a young man who kind of struggled at first trying to get this off the ground. So he moved on to a different job, and they came and they asked me, they knew I had degrees in special education and I'd worked with many kids, and we had Richard, the man we were guardians for. And they said, what would you do if you could help families impacted by special needs? And I said, I'd start a respite program. And that's before I even knew Johnny and Friends. You know what I mean? So my idea was just, in all the years that I taught, my families were exhausted and needed a break. But the hard part is how do you find babysitters or caretakers who are trained and have a heart to just love your kids and kind of overlook sometimes some of those behaviors that we all love, like Caitlin and I love them, but not everybody loves everything that there is with kids and adults with special needs, but we do. And so I said that I presented a plan. I said, this is what I would do. And it took us about 6 months to get it up and going. And you ask about funding too. So we have personal donors. We have grants that we write all the time. In fact, the golf cart, we wrote a grant for that. We are constantly looking for ways to fund our program, and because we want it to be the best that it can be to meet the needs of our families. So we want to be able to take meals to our families when they need it, or give them a gas card, or give them whatever it is that they need at that time. Like, we drive them to appointments. We go to appointments with them. We do their IEP conferences. So we just, that's how it's funded. And we have people come alongside us. Once people hear about what we're doing, it's funny because we'll have somebody go, I want to sponsor a respite. I want to help you in some way. What can I do? And really, we're just honest. We'll say, this is what we need. And so the funding is a big deal. We have a lot of nonprofits in our small town. And so we kind of are fighting over who gets what money sometimes. And I don't like to do that. So I do a lot of praying, and I do a lot of please Lord supply. And we've not ever run dry. So we're very thankful. And in the summer months, we pay in full for our families to go to Johnny and Friends. So one family can cost $1,800. And so we spend a big chunk of our budget in the summer months for our families to go to vacation.
Yeah, and a lot of people use Johnny and Friends as their vacation.
Yeah.
And there are the family retreats are located throughout the country. I've even known people that say, well, I go to this family retreat this year and I go to this, so they kind of use that as their way of discovering the country. I remember one family came from Florida. They drove all the way up to Portsmouth, Ohio. But the retreats are held typically at Shawnee Resort in Portsmouth, Ohio. But you mentioned, Christina, that they're doing another location for the coming year.
Yeah, they're going to be in Amish country in Berlin, Ohio, which is really kind of exciting. And some of my parents who go to that week are so excited because they're like, we can go off campus and go see something, just go shopping or walk around and we were all joking. Somebody said to me, are they going to take them on buggy rides like the kids instead of golf cart rides? And I was like,
yeah, that would be awesome.
They might love that too, because it would be soothing and calm and, so.
Yeah. So have you ever, this is a Christ-centered ministry, but do you ever have anyone contact you saying they just want to either they're of another faith or maybe they have a community center that they want to host something like that? Have you ever had calls like that?
Yes, I've talked to many people who talk to me about that. So we've had people, first of all, we've had volunteers who have said, listen, I don't believe in God and I'll say that's okay, because we do, and you can come and serve and that's fine. And then we have organizations who will say, we want to do this. So we live in between Mansfield and Worcester, Ohio, and both communities have contacted me, but not churches. Their local agencies have contacted me to say, how do we start a program like this? How can we make one with government money to help our families? And so I've met with both of them, and Caitlin and I are constantly meeting with people or talking to them on the phone or saying, this is what you can do in your community to reach out and get this started. It does help that we're a nonprofit, and that gives people a chance to, donate in a different way. But I will say that the religious side of it has never been an issue for us, because I'm just going to be honest, parents really want a break. And so if they trust us enough, they're going to bring their kids and know that we're truly about love and just taking any child with special needs and loving them to the fullest and giving those parents a break. Plus the siblings, we love the siblings just as much too. They become a part of the family, and some of them send me notes, or they'll call me and want to talk about something because they're having a rough time, or they'll call and say, gosh, when we go to Johnny and Friends, I want to do this and this and this. And that's all such a huge part of this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to laugh. I saw, I think it's Amanda laugh when you said, frankly, I just need a break.
Yeah, frankly, dead serious. We have parents who literally come in the door at Respite and they kind of hang around a little bit. Then we have some who come in and it's called the drop and dash. Like, here are my kids, adios, right? Like, I am leaving. And we are okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So she said, do you have a building and do you work out of a church? Okay. So our office is at my home because we don't want to pay the overhead for any kind of a building or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we work out of our home, and then the two churches, they don't charge us anything to be there. This is what I meant. They support us in every way possible. And so we always do it the second and fourth Saturday of every month. So the parents know that, and they know they're going to get a contact from us like, hey, are you able to come to Respite this week? Mm-hmm. And it's usually about Monday of the week of Respite, because they know we have to get our volunteer base ready. Some of our families, I will tell you this, we have a lot of single moms. And so for our single moms, we make it a priority to make sure that those kiddos get to Respite, so that those moms, and then sometimes those moms go out as a group to dinner, and they support each other and they talk about what they need to do to kind of encourage each other. So that's what we do. We never change from that. So every year it's the second and fourth Saturday. And
what time of day do you do it?
We do it from 4:30 to 7:30. And we do get some tired kiddos at the end because they have played and done what they want to do. And so sometimes at the very end, some kids don't want to leave either. That can be hard. So we have some kids who want to stay, but it really does. It flows well. Our kids get used to the routine of it. They know the volunteers. They're just so excited to be there too. Some of them go to their refrigerator, so we make them a schedule and we do all this, and they will tap it and say respite, respite. And some of our nonverbal kids tap it and we'll be like, we have respite this week, we're going, right? And so it impacts everybody.
One thing, I love the fact that you have a special needs programming at a church on Sunday. A lot of times people will start a respite at a church and they're not ready for Sunday. There's no vision of thinking, okay, if they like us on Saturday night, they may come on Sunday morning. So, that's something that we really need to be sensitive to. If you're going to do a respite,
Well,
at least have connections.
Yes. And I'll be honest about that too. So when we do our Sunday school program, we have some moms who are single that come to that too. And sometimes they'll come in tears and say, I just have to go to Walmart right now while they're at church. And I'm like, have at it, go, you're fine.
Yeah.
Your kids are here. We're trained. We've got them. And then sometimes they just want to go down and sit in the church on the couches and they've fallen asleep, or they found somebody to talk to, or they go and get coffee at the cafe that we have, or a donut, and they just go sit in their car, because that's another form of respite for them where they kind of get a break. And they're involved in our church community, but they sometimes just need that too on a Sunday morning. Like, just please, I just need another break. Is that okay? And that's what we're there for. We love those kids.
I know with my family growing up, my parents took turns going to church. And when my brother's behaviors got really bad, my father just stayed home, and so they stopped coming. So things are changing, but the needs are always there for respite.
Yeah, we have another question. So it said, how do you do when you go to the homes and do you pick up children who don't have transportation? That's a really good question. So yes, when we go to the homes, we will take the kids to a park. We will take them. We have one little guy. Well, he's not little anymore. He loves to, his favorite time is to go to Hobby Lobby and Target and Best Buy. And he just rides in the cart and wants to look at everything. And, it's a real hard thing to go to Hobby Lobby. So, so we pick him up and we do that. And he just loves to drive and be in a car. So we do that with him. We have a big van that our hospital foundation gave us, a Ford Transit that we have a lift and we can do 2 wheelchairs in it at a time, plus it holds 10. And so we take that and we pick kids up, and we can take them to Pure Joy, our Sunday school program. We also take them sometimes just to respite if they need it. So, or what's amazing is our volunteers, because we vetted them and we know, and it could be a husband and a wife or whatever. So many of our families have gotten to love our volunteers. They will ask a volunteer, hey, can you pick up my kiddo on your way, or kiddos? And our volunteers would do that too, because they love our families so much. So yes, we try to get them there so that everybody gets a break.
Some churches might be concerned with having their van. And I know when starting disability ministry, they were very concerned if their insurance had to change, their coverage, that kind of thing. So believe it or not, some churches just stop right there because they're afraid. So when you're driving, do you have like a sign-off thing?
So only when I take one little guy to Johnny and Friends as his guardian, and I do a lot of paperwork then, but otherwise, our parents, we have an insurance policy for Ashland Special Needs Ministry as a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so nobody has ever had an issue, and they do sign a release form and a consent form when we start respite that says that we're not liable, but our insurance would cover if something happened.
Right.
So we're just and I update that a lot and talk to our insurance agents and make sure everything is covered, knowing that we do serve a population that needs, what if somebody fell out of the van? What if somebody, so we're real careful about how we try to work that. And oftentimes if I'm taking a family to a doctor's appointment, the whole family, everybody's going because they all get in the van, and they just know that we're all going to go, and that saves them gas money. That saves them, And oftentimes when we do that, then we buy them lunch somewhere. We love Chick-fil-A because we don't have one. So, or if a mom needs, like on the way, she needs a coffee, we buy her a coffee and say, hey, sit back, relax, we got it, you know. And we have iPads that we take with us and extra iPhones. So kids have something to do in the van. So,
Bribery is
right.
a good
And
thing
sometimes we
sometimes.
pack a lot of snacks, a lot of snacks.
Well, I have a question. I know Deborah's been asking questions. Amanda, I know you're driving. Do you have anything you want to ask about? And hi, Francis.
No, I'm kind of new to this whole situation. Our son is 6 months old with Down syndrome,
Oh,
and we just
I want to
kind
see
of
him.
learned. Oh, he's. We're just getting home. I'll show him in a minute.
Okay, okay. And can you
But
move to
we're just
Ashland?
finding out. What was that?
Can you move to Ashland? Is that too much to ask?
I don't know if my boyfriend would go for it.
Oh, let me talk to him.
But we also have a 10-year-old with ADHD, and he's got a lot of behaviors, and
Yeah.
we're all kind of like new to like even the idea of support networks. And
Where do you live?
we're in Parma.
Parma.
Oh, Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 You
So
know,
I know some ministries up there. I think Deb does too. We can connect you.
yeah. Mother
Cool.
to Mother is is a strong African American community. If you go on a Facebook page, I think it's Mother to Mother Inc. I don't know, something like that. But
amazing.
be really, Selena Miller is a parent. Well, all of them are parents, and they have a really good thing going on up there. So when I email you guys, I'm going to include a survey. Hopefully you guys will do it for us. But I'll put the link in for some of the connections I have in Cleveland. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't have to go this alone. And a lot of the folks that are part of that are women of faith.
Oh, that's awesome.
And a lot of fun. I wish I lived in Cleveland.
Oh yeah,
Fine.
she is amazing.
Yeah. So, Francis, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just want to say I'm going to come see Christine someday.
I know you are, Francis. Come on up. We
Yeah.
want you. Or over, wherever you are, dear.
It'll be kind of up and over.
Okay, come on over.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And still mulling things over in my mind as to how it could, work in our area.
Yeah, and that's okay. Keep mulling it over and think it through. And when you need help, we'll be there.
I know you will.
So
I know you will.
I know, Christina, you're connected with several Christian ministries. Do you have like an event coming up that you might be teaching about what you do, or?
So I'm
Oh,
oh my gosh, you need to come to Ashland right now.
so
Oh,
cute.
hi, sweet boy.
Look at the hair. Wow. Beautiful.
You are beautiful. Look at that strength in his neck.
If anyone's listening, this is because we're looking at a beautiful baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's darling.
Well, I know that we didn't think this was going to go till 8. If you guys can unmute yourself if you have any more questions, thoughts, encouragement for Christina. Now's your time to do it.
I like to say I really enjoyed this and I have gotten a lot out of it.
Good.
Being that I am raising a child who has a lot of issues. And I really don't see a respite program here, but what she did, I think is awesome. And I really would like to know a little bit more about it.
That's okay, Deborah. You know
Because the
what?
only person I have for my daughter is I have an older daughter who helps me with her, but I have no one else to like help out, like if I need to go anywhere or do anything, because she have a lot of issues that a lot of people do not like. It's even harder for me to find a school to put her in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You,
So-
Deborah, you said you're in Franklin County, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a respite at Grace at Polaris.
Hmm.
At
And-
Polaris.
Grace at Polaris. It's
Oh.
a Grace Brethren church there. And if you call there and ask them about they have a special needs ministry on Sunday mornings, and they have a respite. I used to help with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Could you text that or send that information to me?
Yeah. Do you see the chat?
Oh, I
We
see it now.
Yes,
Grace at
That's
Polaris.
yes, and that is our website. And if you go there and you have any questions for me, it'll go directly to my email. There's a
You
how
can
can
contact us,
contact
yeah.
us, yes, and it'll go directly to our email.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You know, the other thing, Deborah, that you could look at, it's a different kind of respite, but it's a special needs worship service, one at Reynoldsburg United Methodist Church. Vineyard Columbus has Joyful Noise. So if I remember, I'll send those links too, for some ways for you to get connected here locally.
Yeah, there are some, what's interesting is Columbus has some things that are great that you can just jump right in on. And you know, if your daughter needs a little more help, that's okay.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid, go.
Yep.
Well, I found I've been trying to find a decent school for her because she's autistic. She has seizures, a feeding tube, and she has anxiety, and she have issues with throwing up. So, oh, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. We don't have the staff for that for schooling. That's why she's at homeschool, because I really haven't
Well-
found the school to accommodate all those issues.
Look at Deb and I are like, nope, invite us to your IEP meeting and we'll help you get that and get her into school. That's
Mhm.
discriminating against her because of her disability, and that's against the law. And
Well,
so,
would they told me I would have to get an aid for her?
no,
and-
The school
they
should,
would
but
have
yeah.
to get an aid
No,
for her.
she said I would have to get an
No.
aid. See, that's what I'm saying. So that's
No.
why I'm glad I try to hook into certain things to gather more information.
Yeah,
No, they just buffaloed you. They went right over you, and that's not.
they will. There is a parent mentor of Columbus City School. Would your daughter qualify for Columbus City Schools? Is she? Hello?
Yes, she is, and she would qualify for Columbus City Schools.
Okay,
But
well,
I had asked them if I can visit your school because she was in a school, a special school for autistic, and
Oakstone.
no, she was in Boundless
Okay.
on
Yeah.
off of 161. But the thing is, she came home several times and she had a diaper rash, really,
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like more leery now of putting her in a place unless I know for sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
because she's real sensitive, like for a diaper rash, and because she still wear pull-ups, because she do have accidents every now and then.
Yeah, that happens.
So, it's like really, really hard to really say I want her in that school because I don't know what their circumstances is and if they have enough help. And I don't want her coming home again with diaper rashes
Yeah.
where they're bleeding. Her butt was literally bleeding.
Yeah, that's not okay in any way.
Yeah, so I'm putting Elaine Hamilton's information for you to email her and ask her if you could talk to her about your daughter's needs.
Yeah.
Okay, and let me just make sure I have the right thing. Elaine Hamilton, OCECD. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Any last final words, Christina?
Amanda, are you near Bay Village?
We are right in, well, I mean, it's not far from us.
Okay, so there is an amazing respite program there at the Bay Village Presbyterian Church. Key Ministry is based out of there. If you look, we'll type it in. They
Okay.
do an amazing job, and they would welcome you to come with him
Okay.
And I'm trying to think what else. You should contact the mother to mother group because I think she would really help you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to type it in real quick.
Good.
And then, and if you want to contact through our website too, if you have any questions, we're happy to help in any way.
Okay.
Goes for Deborah too. Yeah, that goes for Deborah too. Deborah, when you need help, you can contact us through that and we'll help, okay?
Yeah, and I'll put my little white flag out.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
You're
yeah.
welcome.
Which was the website? I'm sorry to
So
ask.
ashlandspecialneedsministry.org. If you go there, we have on every page, there's a contact us tab and you
Okay.
fill it out and it'll go right to our email.
Okay.
Okay, so if you ever need any help or if you want to come to our respite program and bring your kiddos,
Please do.
Deborah, you're welcome too.
I want to hold the babies.
I know.
Yeah,
I think
I know.
I think I'd quit my job that night just to hold the baby.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Christina, and for those that joined us tonight on this really important topic. And there's never enough respite. So hopefully I will take the time to edit this. It looks like I didn't do too many mistakes tonight. So we should get that link out to you guys. And if you have any questions, you know, I can give you Christina's number. And we'll take it from there. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Christina and Caitlin for all that you do for families. So many families don't even realize that they need respite. They're so overwhelmed. So thank you for being their voice and the love that you give them.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us, ladies. It was nice to meet you all.
Bye.
Yes.
I
Have
do
a good
have-
night. Oh, go ahead. What's your question, dear?
About last week's. Was it the same thing last week or is it a different one last week?
So last week the focus was on respite ideas. So and that'll be, you know, edited as well. And then the first one was on how a family should take the time to and that's the big thing, is having the time to say what kind of respite you need, you know, what kind of help. Oh no, she's killing me with this
I
cuteness.
know that baby.
You probably have. Are you attending a church up there?
Yeah, we go to St. John Bosco Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, look at Christina's
My
daughter.
daughter wants to see your little one.
Oh, okay.
Cause she, okay, wait.
Wait till you see
Wait till
his
you see him.
face. He's so cute.
What's your baby's name?
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Everybody's
Oh.
gonna be talking about him.
He's
And
gonna be a
Deborah,
lady killer.
Deborah, what's your daughter's name?
Claire. Oh, Deborah. The other Deborah. Okay.
Oh, her name is Charity.
Charity.
Okay, ladies, we're gonna be praying for your kids, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. But please come to Ashland. Is that too much to ask you two? You guys could just move.
All right,
Oh, that's
Get your boyfriend in the picture. I'll talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yep, that's our
somebody.
other child.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My 2-year-old, my 10-year-old is getting a shower.
He's so cute too.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
All right. Everyone,
ladies, thank
thanks for
you.
joining us. Thank you again. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.